Hey folks, welcome to the Freakopolis Times, our podcast mostly about stuff related to our comics and game shop, the Freakopolis Geekery. We're Ian, Tyler, and Troy, and we run the shop and talk to people all the time, just like in this podcast. Join us and some occasional guests as we talk comics, games, pop culture, and just about anything else that pops up. Remember, while some of our topics may get a little geeky, they change up pretty often, so hang in there and maybe the next one will be more your style. By the way, this podcast is video enhanced on YouTube and Spotify. Check it out that way if you like visuals with your talk. You never know what might show up. Now, let's do the show.
It's good to be back. As
Always.
usual. Yes. We will always be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yes. Yeah, call me Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, don't actually, because the guy on every guy and girl's mind these days,
Everybody knows him.
is the old Henry Cavill. Dude is making big moves in his career right now. There's been some big shakeups since we did our last podcast. I thought it was worth delving into those ongoings for a moment. So, no longer is he Geralt of Rivia, but yet again is he the Man of Steel. And he
Superman.
is consistently a total nerd.
Is that a big deal?
Yeah, I think that so far as The Witcher production was concerned, which has always been a rocky road, losing Henry Cavill as Geralt is a pretty catastrophic blow.
Right, I'm coming in from the outside on this. Now, I know Henry Cavill plays The Witcher on the Witcher series. What is that, an Amazon show or something?
Netflix. Yeah.
I didn't play the game, so I didn't really follow the Netflix series, but I know who Henry Cavill is. And apparently people wanted him to stay on as The Witcher.
Yeah, well, I have played The Witcher 3, quality game, definitely excellent, and Henry Cavill himself is a self-proclaimed fan of the series and is beloved amongst its kind of cult community because he has streamed himself playing The Witcher, and amidst other games and whatnot.
And clearly, throughout the production of the show, he has read all the books and he, knew all the lines that Geralt has said and would suggest some pretty quality ideas. But yeah, he apparently he had some differing opinions with the showrunners on where the show was going and decided to take a step back.
So he wasn't just an actor, he was more connected than that.
I believe that he wanted to be, at least, and he was kind of stonewalled, or maybe that's the case. Of course, taking up the role of Superman again and some big fat checks is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps he wants to dedicate himself to that role. Can't blame him there. But it definitely feels as though, and especially when you look at the quality of The Witcher Season 1 and 2, which is questionable at times, to say the least, it feels like his influence, which on both the writing of the show and its audience could have been a really good thing, was pretty much squandered, and that's really unfortunate.
They weren't interested in his opinions on
Doesn't seem to be the case.
Running.
Yeah, they wanted to be the next Game of Thrones, and unsurprisingly, only Game of Thrones could be the next Game of Thrones.
Yeah, although I am excited for him to be back in DC. I think they've got a good chance of doing some good stuff there. I'm excited for some future productions out of them.
Yeah, his introduction has already been established in the recent Black Adam movie.
Mm-hmm.
The very end involves Henry Cavill Superman stepping out, being like, guess who's back? So that's something, I guess,
I mean, I've only heard good things about it, so.
The DC cinematic universe is about as stable as the Leaning Tower of Pizza if it was built on a fault line. So
It certainly They don't have the best track record.
No, so I think they could use, some star power like that to really hold it together, at least for those fans who are dedicated to the guy. And yeah, like I said, I can't blame him or them. He seems like a cool dude, and he puts his all into these roles. It's definitely the production houses behind it that seem to stifle his abilities to really bring out the best in these shows and productions.
He is being replaced, apparently. They're going to continue making The Witcher. And I believe the younger Hemsworth brother is going to be picking up his role as Geralt. That'll be interesting.
Well, he probably has the hair for it.
I imagine
That's probably
so.
why he was picked, right?
Yes.
Because those Hemsworths have hair.
Yes. They have Asgardian hair.
Right. Godlike hair.
Exactly. Therefore, chosen as Geralt immediately. No need to really tell. I don't know. Maybe, was it Eric Hemsworth?
Liam
Hemsworth?
No,
Yeah.
is it Liam?
Is it?
Something like that.
Gotta find out.
He's busy being Thor.
No,
That's Chris.
Chris Hemsworth.
How many of these
Liam
Hemsworths are there?
Hemsworth.
There's like 6 Hemsworths?
There's a bunch of them.
6 demigods running around?
I believe someone needs to slay them all.
Let's say.
Take their great runes. No. Freaking Liam Hemsworth must be is taking up the role of Geralt, which is a pretty interesting shift, I think. Of course, it's a world where magic has been established to be able to change your physical appearance with relative ease. So they could hand wave an actor shift, a character change like that, but it's not really necessarily who they replace him with, but who they're losing that makes it a bit of maybe a mortal blow to this whole series, because I don't think it ever found its footing to begin with, and minus Henry Cavill leaves it in a really precarious position.
On the other hand, those Hemsworths have fans of their own.
True enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, maybe it's a partial reboot. I mean, I don't know. Like in the costume, they're probably not going to be too far looking from each other. They're similar sized guys.
Yeah.
They're both going to have the Witcher's hair.
True enough, right?
And physique, I'm sure, but
delivery will also be, something pretty difficult to capture. Henry Cavill's delivery is very true to what you see in the games, which is pretty interesting. And, I think that he's an interesting dude as an actor. In fact, he's known pretty well in that sphere specifically, the Witcher following kind of niche, because not only has he streamed the games and stuff, but he's proclaimed himself as a big fan. And he's just a big nerd playing Warhammer and World of Warcraft and, all that hobby stuff that we happen to like as well. So it's no surprise that he fits in well with those fandoms.
painting minis and
Yeah.
playing board games. Though I do sometimes wonder if you ever get sick of like, I'm a world famous actor, and every time I go on these talk shows, they just ask me about what board games I play,
True enough.
what my favorite Warhammer army is.
Yeah. They're like, oh, the most interesting thing about you is these hobbies you enjoy. And that's not necessarily always the case. Yeah, you could definitely be like, let's talk about the new movie.
Yeah.
But it is something that he definitely outwardly enjoys.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's become something he's kind of branded to himself. In fact, he is known, when he was originally cast as Superman, one of the biggest stories that he told about that era in his life was he passed up on the phone call for that casting because he was in the midst of a World of Warcraft raid.
Wow.
He was looking forward to that gear so much that he was completely willing to be like, I'll get back to them, when it was a life-defining role, you know?
He's a committed gamer, man.
Yeah. You know who I want to see him fight, though?
Who's that?
Will Arnett.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they look very similar sometimes in the right lighting. Though Henry Cavill speaks with an English accent when he's like actually talking.
You want to see them fight? How?
Like in a ring.
Yeah,
Like-
Mad Max Thunderdome style.
Maybe a rusty knife if you're lucky.
You know, if you're gonna put up two men to go at it in an arena, I think that they're definitely valid options as like, hey, that sounds 50-50.
It would be tough. I think honestly my bet might be on Henry.
Really?
Yeah.
What if we throw Liam in there?
Three-way
Yes! 3-way Liam Henry.
to the death?
Yes.
I still might have to go with Henry Cavill.
Wow. Truly the man of steel.
I mean, I like Will Arnett. I think he'd go down though to either of those guys.
Yeah.
He's older. For
He
one
is.
thing.
He is.
He would sound good doing
I
it.
was gonna say,
he sound
yeah.
awesome. But
You would want those death throws because they would make for
Some good sound bites.
yeah.
like straight out of Lego Batman.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So how much did he sign up for Superman? Did they say like how many movies?
I'm not sure if that's particularly public, but he's already been reintroduced. So obviously he's embracing the role full time. And, you know, as kind of a show, I'm sure of quote unquote continued confidence in the Witcher production, he essentially said, and everyone knows I'm super busy with Superman, right? You know, so I can't do them all.
Right.
Well, this upcoming week isn't stressful at all, right? For a multitude of reasons. Nothing to worry about.
Every so often the stars align, and so do all the gaming universes,
Mm-hmm.
and they all deliver a major new release in the same week.
Yeah, it has piled up into a truly momentous week as far as new releases go for our store. It's exciting, and it's also, you know, always a little nerve-wracking, hoping that people really enjoy these brand new products.
Our top 3 sort of event-driving game systems, all delivering new releases this week. And that starts with Magic the Gathering's Brothers War.
Yep.
Heroclix, Avengers Forever, and Pokemon. Is it Silver Tempest?
Silver Tempest. That's pretty cool. That's definitely very Japanese.
Yeah.
What adjective noun did they throw together this time?
Hey, I get it.
They do all look pretty amazing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
these are going to be good releases. They all happen at the same time, which means the store has to bring in all of that inventory at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, we need to promote it all at the same time to make sure that everybody's included in their favorite game release. And
Yeah. Set load to super max heavy because there's a lot to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, which one do we want to dive into first as far as just talking about why we're pumped for these new releases? At least we could enjoy chatting it up about them for a minute.
well, Pokemon, I think, is another straightforward release on their part. I mean, you know, they just routinely, refresh the brand every few months. And that's another case here. You know, it's new packs, new Elite Trainer booster boxes.
Yep.
You know, the full range, the full gamut, another full release. So I mean, that one's pretty straightforward.
Their pace is definitely pretty impressive, though, for sure. And this new release, Silver Tempest, has over 190 new cards. Of course, some of those are going to be, you know, reprints of various basics and stuff, reimagined ever so slightly. But definitely a contribution to the set every time. Everyone can love getting, you know, a whole collection of different basic Pikachus and stuff.
And of course, their print quality is so legendary.
Yeah.
You know, it's always awesome to see new cards from those guys.
More interestingly, though, as far as standout cards in the release, there's an Alolan Vulpix V-Stars. V-Stars are relatively new to the kind of Pokemon TCG scene, and they are always super impactful when they hit the field. And Alolan Vulpix. Vulpix was a Gen 1 release Pokemon. Pretty familiar to a lot of people. It's just a cute little Firefox thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Alolan version is, in fact, a freezing fox, which is pretty cool. Definitely a whole switch up. Another V-Star that they're including in this is Unknown V-Star. Do you remember Unknown from the Pokemon movie when they were first released? They're essentially the alphabet as Pokemon.
Love that.
They were a big deal. Yeah. I mean, when they first came out. In fact, the mystery behind them, and I haven't checked in on 20 or so years on this, but it turns out the mystery behind the Unknown, still a mystery.
Wow.
Their origins, their purpose.
Your grandchildren might figure it out.
Maybe. But they are going to get a V-Star before the secrets of the universe are unlocked. So that's kind of interesting, I suppose. I wonder who will be adapting that particular one to their decks. There's also 3 brand new Radiant Pokemon. You can only put 1 Radiant Pokemon per deck. And they usually are pretty impactful and super cool. 6 new V-Stars, 15 new Vs, and 1 V-Max.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
A single new V-Max, though, means that the alternative art of that particular VMAX, or the full art version, or whatever ways they make the super, super rare version of that card, is going to be pretty freaking sweet. So, looking forward to potentially seeing all that go down in Silver Tempest.
Nice. Well, that does sound pretty exciting. I'll be on the lookout for some cool cards, I guess.
Mom was playing.
Right? Everybody's getting into it.
She had fun. Well, it's definitely more straightforward than Magic, for sure, but it has just the right amount of depth to keep you engaged while also being super fast.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really, really love Pokemon.
You taught it to a few new people this
week. Yeah, definitely some young new trainers who were saying, I only really collect. And I was like,
there's no reason for that.
Yeah, try this deck out. The game's super fun. By the time they were going, they were like smiling and saying, I love Pokemon. Can't wait to play some more. So, always love to see that, for sure.
I guess I'm still, I've only played a few rounds. It is really good.
Yeah.
But I like looking at the cards.
There is. Oh, totally. There's an impressive balance where, it just so happens that the numbers make it so that you come out on top, or just barely, scrape by in some really interesting ways. So it could be, the whole game can come down to a coin flip or that kind of stuff. And it can be super fun to see how well put together and well balanced all these different cards are against each other, as long as your deck is somewhat well put together.
Cool. Well, hopefully Silver Tempest
impresses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, V-Stars are always cool. So.
Well, their track record is one of delivering pretty much every single time.
Yeah.
I think we can pretty confidently say this is going to be a cool release, and people are going to pull cards that they really love.
Absolutely.
The next release, the one that I'm most excited for, of course, I am a Heroclix lover.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers Forever. I have a pretty awesome Avengers team, and I was just looking through the set list at all the cool characters coming out, and I am pumped.
Yeah, there's some great stuff on there. You say you have an awesome Avengers team. Our community would probably say you have a notorious Avengers team.
That might be true. Just wait till I got my hands on some of the chases in this next set, because they look amazing. Not only do the models look super crisp and clean, I am still gushing over them being, 25% larger.
Yeah, the upscaling did a lot of favors to the way these minis look, for sure.
I think they've got it really tuned in at this point. So super excited for just looking at them, but their powers and stuff as well are, they're looking good.
Yeah, truly impressive. I think that this is going to be a fun release for sure. Some characters returning, that you might have a few different versions of Nick Fury by now, but you can always use an updated one. You're going to see a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D., a lot of Avengers and stuff, but there are some real crazy combos and twists and kind of what-if style characters.
Yeah. There's a Kang the Conqueror, a Thanos, Dormammu,
Kamala Kang?
Kamala Kang.
What?
There's a lot of various Hulks, too.
Yeah,
She-Hulk,
Hulk,
yeah, yeah.
She-Hulk, Winter Hulk.
Some cool stuff going on there as far as the super rares and the limited editions go. So those are always kind of the most premier ones in the set, and some of them are truly wild looking this time around.
Yes, I really hope somebody gets their hands on the Ghost Panther,
Right.
the Ghost Rider, Black Panther combined character on those classic, riding Harley on a two-tile base. Those are just going to be so cool.
They did manage to produce another one of those double-based figures.
Peanut-based.
Yeah,
Yes.
those guys are pretty rare.
I wish they did more of them.
I know, yeah, totally. There's seldom few cool vehicles and stuff in the meta these days, and I would love to see, some two base motorcycles or something could be super fun.
Mm-hmm. Biker gang.
Yeah, totally. So, you think that this set will make for a good addition to your collection, all in all, and potentially your team as well?
If I can get my hands on some lucky pulls, some super rares or chases, then yes, absolutely. There's a 200-point Hulk I'm looking at, a 200-point Iron Man, and they look like they would be pretty nice.
Well, you've never had issue with that. Your collection includes quite a few super rares and limited edition pieces.
I've had some very good luck over the years with my Heroclix pulls.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
That's pretty wild. So that's going to be pretty awesome. Though I did hear you mumbling as you were looking over these previews that the power creep is real.
Power creep is real. It used to be if you had a 75-point character, they'd be 5 clicks, and they would be a pretty drastic sort of lowering of stats amongst those 5 clicks. Now, 75 points will get you 8 clicks, and it's pretty even stats across the board.
A 75-point figure released in a set in the last year is probably the equivalent of a 150-point figure from 5 years ago.
If not 200 points.
Wow.
Yeah. And in fact, you could see them kicking those teams up and down the street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if you're playing a legacy team versus a mostly modern team, you feel it.
Yeah. And, though they do print kind of readaptations of older characters, there's only so many that they ever give these updated cards to. It's not enough to keep the legacy characters up to par against these brand new releases.
Though, that's not to say you can't do well with some legacy clicks.
No,
My group of hobbits nearly beat a modern team.
True enough, yeah. Stats aren't everything. There is a lot of strategy, for sure. But some of these guys are really, truly powerful in comparison to what we used to see in the past, especially for their point value. So it's going to be, modern will be balanced against itself.
Absolutely.
Maybe at some point legacy will become, sets older than, a year ago.
Right.
Can't include sets that are too recent, which could be kind of an interesting proposition, I think, forcing people to reach further back.
Absolutely.
Another interesting thing they did this time was have 2 different Dyson token packs.
Aha, yeah. There's an Ant-Man one and a
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, cool.
And in the past, they've pretty much only done one style of tokens for a release. And they're also continuing along. During COVID, they came out with the idea of play-at-home kits, which is basically kind of like a little mini tournament organized play kit that people could buy and then go home and play with their family and friends, and the winner would get some special figure release prize. They're continuing to do that. Play-at-home kits are
still available.
Still available. We're getting some as well as the organized play kit for the store, so that we can hold a really cool draft based on this set, which I think will be a lot of fun. That time, basically, everybody will be playing Avengers teams, more or less.
True enough.
So, yeah, the full range is being released in this one too. So, we're excited to see how that plays out, how people add that onto their collection, and then how it affects their ongoing teams going on into the future.
Yeah, well, this one has been highly anticipated, specifically for Tyler, because your Avengers team really relies on them bolstering each other because they are signified as Avengers, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It adds on to their already pretty impressive stat blocks and powers. They've got a lot of synergy, so the more Avengers I can work with, the better.
Yeah, now you'll just have more options of characters that have that tag, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a cool thing, for sure.
So I guess we'll see what pulls we get out of it.
Yeah, drafts can always be fun.
Mm-hmm.
No telling what's going to hit the table, so... Generally, there's at least one crazy, crazy pull, though.
Oh, yeah. And it's truly a fight to see who will claim it at the end.
Mm-hmm. Finally, the last release of the week is the Brothers War from Magic the Gathering. And this is a pretty big release. One of the, big ones of the year. I think this is the last major release of the year. And in fact, it is part 2 of a 4-part story about the rise of the Phyrexians, the return of kind of one of Magic's greatest antagonist forces.
Mm-hmm.
The Brothers War is a 287 card set.
Wow.
Yeah, generally that is a full event list of different powers and abilities going on there. And one of the interesting things about this set that kind of puts it aside from other releases is generally Magic cards are based on a particular plane. Like there's Kamigawa, or Ravnica, or
Dominaria.
Exactly. Yeah. Last we had Dominaria United. This is actually the continuation of that plot line, quote unquote. This one, Brothers War, is considered an event set, which means that it's focused not on a setting, but on a particular war or conflict, And that, I think, is pretty cool because maybe you'll be able to see a little more of a specific time period encapsulated in the art and the flavor text of these cards.
While still having it spread out amidst the planes that they're drawing from?
I believe that the vast majority of this one is going to be still on Dominaria, as that is the locus of the conflict for now.
Fair enough.
And 2 of Magic's greatest characters, Urza and Mishra, long known to veterans of the game, are kind of the center of this battle. And it will be really interesting to see what an event kind of set tries to promise, and what these characters end up appearing as on the table.
And this is another one that's it's a full release in that it has set boosters, collector boosters, even jumpstart boosters. Yeah. It has bundles. What am I missing?
It has Transformers.
It has yeah, that one. Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, listeners. Yeah, this set is one of the first that kind of shoves universes beyond down your throat. I don't mean to put it so in such violent terms, but it feels as though that is kind of the case. You're not really opting in. You might get Optimus Prime in a pack where you were anticipating getting some Brothers War context,
Yeah, as I understand it, you have a chance to get a Transformer card in set boosters and a guarantee of getting a Transformer card in collector boosters.
Which for some people means I will not get any collector boosters, and for some people means pre-order me as many as you can order.
Right. Oh, that's right. And the set also has pre-gen commander decks.
Yes, some new precons. Nice. Those are always good, yeah. So it's definitely going to be a major entry as far as stocking our shelves back up and stuff goes. And Dominar United was definitely a good release that reintroduced some super classic builds like elves and goblins. And I'm pumped to see, what's printed this time. I generally don't dive too deep into the spoilers, but there's a lot to it.
I've been getting into the lore of Magic a little bit more, and I will be excited to see if they do anything with that. Maybe understand a flavor text or two on the cards we get.
Yeah, totally, right? Slowly, over years, you may be able to gather some of the context to just kind of by playing the game, but it really feels like it takes a bit of additional effort in order to fully encapsulate what those writers are trying to tell you set by set, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It is, in fact, the 94th Magic expansion.
Wow.
Yeah! Isn't that crazy?
They've come out with a lot of Magic.
Yeah. And soon enough, as made fun of by Lug and Kilgore, the 30th anniversary stuff is upcoming as well.
Mm-hmm.
It has been as controversial as it has been looming, I suppose.
Our store is a relatively new WPN store.
Mm-hmm.
We've probably done, 5 or 6 expansions. So the idea of there being 94 of them is crazy.
Yeah, it puts into perspective just how huge an IP and how expansive its entries have been, for sure.
Well, we'll be here for the 30th anniversary.
True enough, yeah. And, it definitely, when you consider some of those releases now, when people pine over those really old cards from some of the original stuff like Ice Age and whatnot, it's like, oh yeah, well, it was 85 sets ago. That makes you go, oh, well then yes, it is pretty old, isn't it?
Time to move on.
Yeah. No, it's pretty wild, exactly.
I don't know, is there any particular cards people are super pumped for that they've leaked or teased? Other than Optimus Prime, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say the Transformers guys are absolutely going to be desirable to a certain subset of Magic players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. You can't go too wrong getting a Transformer figure. I'm sure our shop will give people fair trades for Transformers they pull that they don't want to include in their decks.
Keep magic for magic, I say. That's not entirely true.
One card that's definitely looking pretty standout from this entry would be Brotherhood's End, which is a 1 colorless, 2 red sorcery where you can choose one from 2 effects. Either Brotherhood's End deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, so pretty much 3 mana to do a soft board wipe, potentially really screwing over some certain builds, or
absolutely
destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Yeah.
Oh, all our mana rocks.
Exactly. Yeah. You could really slow someone down for cheap pretty easily, or you could use that post-combat or however you pretty much desire in order to make sure that you soften up the enemy board.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward. I like that. I like having the options there too, and some really strong red aggression is always glad to be seen. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to expose myself too much to it before tearing open some packs, but it definitely promises to be a really, really fun entry, I think. So, super pumped for pre-release. Always fun to see sealed events and stuff, much like Heroclix. Never know what you're going to get when you start just tearing stuff open and putting teams and decks together. So, should be pretty cool.
And that about does it for this one. If you like hanging with us, please subscribe through your favorite podcast directory. Join our Discord and check out our shop, the Freakopolis Geekery. See you next time.